get together with all of the school, home and school organizations in each one of the buildings, PTOs or whatever their parent-student organization is called. Some members of the PCEF are going to have a meeting bringing those people together so that they can share ideas about their parent-teacher organization, but then also the PCEF can get exposure for itself too, and let people know what the Education Foundation, all the good things that they provide for the school district and our students. I think that was about the extent of it. Oh, and our next meeting will be Groundhog Day, February 2nd. It's a Saturday morning, probably not one that anyone will want.
Thank you. Okay, old business. Okay, new business. All right, we're back to public comment. Same rules as before. Do we have any public comment?
Lee Rush, Percy. Thank you very much for the earlier discussion. It was helpful to hear more of some of the people's thinking. I'm not necessarily opposed to Rachel's challenge. I want to be really clear. I didn't hopefully leave that impression. As I said, it's complicated, especially with universal approaches of what really can make the difference. My concern, I guess, was more about the decision-making process, and I've worked hard over the years for. It's hard to get so many people's opinions about what's the best approach, the inclusivity of teachers and students and parents and administrators and counselors and social workers. There's like thousands of people working hard to do the best thing for our young people. So I don't want to be misinterpreted about, I'm not opposed to Rachel's challenge. My concern is just that, the way that decisions get made sometimes with money and with the best approach is sometimes done in a very, maybe not the most strategic way. I'll leave it at that. And as far as the data goes, I spent 20 years here in this district to try to encourage past administrators and boards and teachers to really do more deeper dives into the surveys. We never had done a student survey until 2000 here. And it was really helpful to see that after our grants were expended, that the district and the state provided money for the PACE survey. That's excellent, because without that data, it's like we're all blind. We don't know what's really going on with our kids. And I couldn't hear it today. I really had a hard time hearing with some of the microphones. So you shared some data, and I missed some of it. Could you just share again what you were saying about attempted and consideration of suicide? Could you just share what you had, please? Because I missed some of that.
Do you want me to?
No, I'd like to hear the numbers you quoted, please. If just take a minute and share with them real quick.
Yeah, do you want me to come? I can come and share them with you after the meeting.
No, I'd like to hear them publicly because I really want to make sure I heard them correctly or misheard them. Just on the attempted suicides and the consideration, please.
So the attempted suicide was up to 12% depending on the grade level and an average of 10%? Is that the one you're talking about?
I don't know. I was asking for your data.
Did
you say that again? Did you say 12?
You have the PACE survey on your laptop. You're usually throwing me numbers.
But I just want to make sure we're talking about the same numbers.
Well, you're talking about the 2017 PACE survey, right?
Yes.
So that's the same numbers. That's where these numbers came from. The same exact document you're talking about.
So those aren't the numbers I have. So
Okay,
the
well, I'll be happy to compare
the attempted numbers, there was no number higher than 9. So I just want to make sure that there's not a bad public impression left in that kind of data, because it's really critical, and that's what I really hope for in our future, that we're able to share accurate data so that everyone really knows what we're talking about. So the attempt was 4.3% in the 6th grade, 6.3% in 8th grade, 9.2% in the 10th grade, and only 7% in the 5th grade. The positive news, as everyone knows, perhaps maybe not, but trending, the great news is those numbers are going in the right direction. They're trending downward. And those are probably due to a lot of intensive intervention by people involved in counseling and therapy. So that's really the hope, is that these programs will deliver more of those positive numbers because they are moving in the right direction. So I just wanted to correct, the numbers in terms of the percentages, because while they're high, it only takes one. It's hard to measure again
Mr. Rush.
the value of a
I'm
life.
sorry,
Thank you very
time
much
has
for your
expired.
time. I appreciate your effort to be continuing this process.
Sure, and I'll be happy to show you those charts.
I shouldn't even step up to the mic since it's not working. My name is Alex Rajan. I live in Bedminster Township. First of all, I just want to apologize for my outburst earlier. When I heard Mr. Miller speak, the conversation was you wanted to keep confidentiality, and it was being revealed as you were speaking, so I was trying to, I didn't know who his neighbors were. Now I know, and I empathize with your plight, but I want to apologize for that. Thank you.
Mr. Rajan, let me just make one public comment in response to you. When you are the parliamentarian and solicitor, you hope to be like an umpire, invisible most of the time. Sometimes that happens, sometimes my bow tie is too tight, sometimes not. One of the things I appreciate about the school district is the discussion is always vigorous. There's been a lot of good discussion this evening, and so all we're trying to do is keep everything going within regular order, consistent with the policies of the board. So thank you very
Fair
much
enough.
for your courtesies tonight.
Thank you.
Try to remember the rules. Diane Herring, Hilltown Township. I have not said anything publicly about Rachel's challenge. Because for me personally, as a parent, I have a problem with this entire philosophical view that I should be entrusting my school district with the social and emotional development of my children, or any child for that matter, okay? As a general rule, personally, I hold that as my parental responsibility, okay? So for me, it's very difficult to hear everyone talk about data and numbers and costs, and I see it as kids' lives. And it distresses me more that we actually have to have this program come in from a parental perspective, okay? I am normally someone who is very mindful of data, statistics, and costs. But I think I'm more troubled with the idea that we actually have to have this program, okay? And in that vein, I feel it's my responsibility tonight, as probably one of the few people who can actively say they've come to school board meetings for 10 years now and have stood for the kids for 10 years now. Please invest. If this is what you say it is, and I will reserve judgment until I participate myself, because I do plan on attending. But having watched what happened the last time we did a community event of this ilk, where we had an entire episode about school safety, and we brought in law enforcement, we talked about everything. It was over at Central Middle School. We have 7,200 students and 40 parents showed up. And I was crushed that night because everyone stood here and meetings went on and kids were upset and parents were upset, and then we talk about come to what we are doing in the schools about safety and security, and 40 parents showed up. We don't even have, like, the only footage of this entire event was due to Mrs. Furlong. So whatever we're doing, if we're spending the money, we're valuing it, if we need to go this way, data numbers, whatever, we can debate about 1% or 2%. I'm sorry, if a kid kills themselves, I don't really care if it's 5% or 6%. We need to stop it. And if we have the ability to stop it, I don't really care what that data number is. But I really think if this is what you're touting it to be, please do everything to drag the community into it, okay? Because we didn't do that the last time around. And I think parents really need to be involved in this. They are the key to successfully delivering this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, announcements. An executive session was held on December 3rd, 2018, and following tonight's meeting, and will be held following tonight's meeting to discuss personnel matters. The next school board meeting is scheduled for Monday, February 25th, 2019. I'll make a motion to adjourn. Second. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. We are adjourned.